Well, I woke up at about 2:30 this morning because the winds were so bad. I was afraid that something like this was going to happen. The other thing that happened is the winds came from this way, which they almost never do. The winds usually blow up the drainage, which is this way. And whenever we have high winds like that last night, I always get concerned about a big tree falling on the fence for the deer. And the truth is, where this tree fell, it couldn't have been any better. It didn't damage the tanks. I was really concerned that it might have damaged the tanks. It missed the fence, didn't do any damage to the fence. But this was one of the biggest maple trees on our entire property. There's probably 4 cords of firewood in that one tree alone. And I'm the one that's going to have to cut that up and turn it into firewood. But I can't see any others. I can't see any other broken off trees that look like they did any damage anyway. But man, I would have never guessed this tree was the tree that was going to break off last night. But thank goodness it missed the deer pen. Well, it is officially time to get all the materials laid out for this final fence line. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be short somewhere around 40 posts, but until I get everything laid out, I'm not going to know for sure. I will end up peeling and treating somewhere around 225 of these lodgepole pine fence posts, and I can tell you right now, I'm ready to be done with this job. As long as I've got a little bit of weight hanging over the front end on the Bobcat 853 skid steer, I can get up the mountainside trail without any problems. I've been trying to figure out exactly how big this new deer pen is going to end up being, simply based on how much wire I have used so far to fence it. At some point I'm going to drive around the perimeter of the deer pen and I'm going to count the fence posts and get an exact number on how big the deer pen is, but I'm thinking it's somewhere right around 10 acres. Everything about building this new deer pen has been a challenge, and I knew it was going to be a challenge, but I don't know if I took into consideration just how much of a challenge it really was going to be. and sometimes ignorance is bliss. But as I'm getting close to the end now, I'm fully aware of how much effort it's going to take to finish this job. Initially, I thought the deer pen would end up being somewhere around 5, maybe 6 acres, but now as I'm getting close to the end, I can see it's much bigger than that. I tried to build this corner right here in such a way where I can feed and water the deer without too many challenges, and now that I'm just about finished with this corner, it's going to work out perfect. But one of my favorite things about the new deer pen is the fact that I can look out my master bedroom window and have a front row seat to whatever the deer might be doing. There are not too many straight lines when it comes to the new deer pen, simply because I tried to use the contour of the mountain to make everything work as best as it could. And again, now that we're coming to the end here, I'm really happy with the way things have turned out. As much as it makes sense to simply pick up the scrap wire around the place when I'm done with the job, I believe it was my father-in-law Phil that explained to me that if a piece of wire like this got into a horse's hoof or a deer's hoof, it could do some real damage. So I try to pick up every piece of scrap wire I can find. So this is the very top fence line of the new deer pen, and while it's the shortest run of all the fence lines, it still requires just as much effort as the rest of them. I'm going to put an 8-foot gate in right here that will allow me access to the fence line so I can not only maintain the deer line but simply check it riding the four-wheeler especially on days like today when the wind is blowing 50 plus. I'm able to use the skid steer to get all the fence posts and the fencing up here on the mountain, but I still have to lay everything out exactly where it's supposed to go by hand. I must say that using the auger with the excavator was one of the better decisions I made as far as getting 250 fence posts drilled into the side of the mountain, and mounting that auger on the end of the excavator really wasn't that big of a job. So I'm officially at a place where I'm going to have to go pick up some lodgepole pine, some more posts. I think I'm going to need somewhere between another 40 and 50, which means I'm going to have to buy 25 of those posts and cut them in half and peel them and treat them the whole 9 yards. As much progress as I'm making, there are days when I just want to sit up here and do nothing. And as tired as I am at the end of the day, I know it's for a good cause, and that's kind of what keeps me moving on days like today. It's going to be over 90 again, but now we're getting far enough into the summer that, again, at any moment, we're going to start dealing with these afternoon storms. And if I don't have the fencing stretched and all the posts in the ground before that happens, there's no way that I'm going to be able to continue to do it. So as much as I'd love to sit around and do nothing, I got to keep working. I have found that the very first thing I need to do before I start drilling holes for the fence posts is simply lay the fence out and make sure everything looks okay. So I typically use rocks to mark the hole, and then I lay everything out and I look at it. And as long as everything lines up good, I then start drilling the holes. But before I can set the fence posts, every single hole has to be cleaned out by hand to ensure that the fence posts are set to the proper depth. It is dirty work. There's just no two ways about it. Regardless of how hard I try not to get dirty, I just simply get dirty from top to bottom. So where I come from, there's no point in fighting it. Just get the job done, then get cleaned up afterwards. But by the end of the day, I'm packing around more dirt on my clothes than any human should be. About every 150 feet, I try to put a cross brace in that will ensure that the fence stays relatively tight after I get everything stretched and secured to the fence posts. I also put a cross brace at every corner, and especially where a gate's going to be. That way the fence posts don't move around too much. So all of the fencing has to be installed on the inside of the posts. And this is where it gets a little bit complicated, because moving a 300-pound roll of fencing on the inside of the posts is not possible, at least not for me. And at some point I'm going to figure out how to use the excavator to do this, but on this shorter run I cut a 130-foot piece off and I rolled it out and I made it work. But even that was exhausting. The state of Idaho requires that all fencing be on the inside of the pen. That basically means that the fence posts have to be on the outside, the wire fencing has to be on the inside closest to the animals. The theory behind that is, you know, frankly, in any pen, you want the fencing on the inside because as the animals push on it, naturally the posts on the outside, it's going to retain the animals much better. In theory, if you had fencing along the outside and the animals pushed up against that, in theory, you know, the fencing staples or something like that could pull away from the post and the fencing could fall down. So the state requires that I put all this fencing on the inside, and on that lower side it was no big deal because I could drive along the inside edge without any issues. But across the top here and down this new trail, I'm gonna have to figure out how to roll a 300-pound roll that's also 300 plus feet long down this trail, hold it up in place while it gets stretched tight and then nailed off. And the only thing that I can come up with that at least I have readily available is taking some sort of a chain or something like that and hanging the rolls of fencing off the boom on my excavator, and then just drive the excavator down the trail and slowly roll that fence out as I go down. So I'm going to have to make something that's heavy enough to hold the weight of that fencing and still allow that fencing to turn as I move the excavator down the side of the mountain. So I'm still about 40 posts short, and I think I'm going to run to town and see if I can go pick them up. But we're getting down to the tail end here, and if I can, assuming I can figure out how to use that excavator to get this fencing rolled out, then I'll take it, you know, 5 to 7 posts at a time and stretch the wire tight, nail it off, move the excavator down. Again, take it a section at a time and make sure everything is going the way that I want it to. But at some point, I need to figure out how big this pin actually is. If it ends up being anywhere near 15 acres, that's amazing. That makes me feel a lot better about things. But I was thinking it was closer to probably 7 or 8 acres. But again, 3,300 linear feet of fencing, at least on my calculator, it translates to about 15 acres. So anyway, exciting, but man, this is exhausting work, and I just want to be done with it. So I'm going to get out here in the morning and get this top piece stretched tight and hopefully start the process of working down the side of the trail. Ruby and I ran to town and picked up the last 23 21-foot long lodgepole pine posts that I'm going to need to finish up the new mountainside deer pen. Sourcing these 21-foot lodgepole pine posts can be a little bit of a pain. And the last time that I needed 21-foot posts, I had to drive 3 hours one way just to find them. So after cutting all of these posts into 11 and 10-foot lengths, I now get to peel them, and then once they've been treated, they're ready to be put in the ground. I have found that I can do about 20 posts at a time, and then I need to take a day or two break because my arms and my hands get so numb that it's hard to do anything else. So these are the last of the lodgepole pine posts that have to be treated before I can put them in the ground and finish the new high fence deer pen. We're going to end it right here for this week's video, but I want to say that on our next upcoming video, I should be done stretching fence for the new high fence deer pen. Thank you guys again for taking your time to check in on us here at Red Poppy Ranch. We hope you are well and safe, and we will see you soon.